Hey, this is Al from Transformational Gaming. Appreciate you coming by. Appreciate you coming to the channel. You can tell I haven't been on here in a while because as soon as I picked up my mic, it basically exploded. So I don't know what that was all about. I don't know if that's an omen or what's going on with that. But yeah, I decided to pop my head out of the woodwork and do a video. A lot of things has happened since the last time I made a video. But we're not going to dig into all of that because I know that you guys don't really care about that. What you want to hear is me talking about my thoughts on the state of Xbox. And the only thing I really want to say about that is, I told you so. I mean, I put out a tweet not too long ago referencing one of my videos that I don't know why I put private, but I unchecked it and made it public, and so you guys can enjoy that. But I made that video a long time ago, and I said even back then, before the consoles that came out, that the Xbox Series X and the S was in trouble. And particularly the S, I knew it wasn't going to sell that well, and I was telling y'all even back then, it just didn't have a market. Some say, well, you weren't totally right because the Steam Deck is doing well. Well, maybe the Switch is doing well, but that's another topic for another day. But today I want to talk to you about the state of Xbox, and this probably be my last video that I want to do on Xbox, to be honest with you, because to me, they're just kind of giving up, and I just got mixed feelings about it. But for one thing for sure, two things for certain, I do believe that Microsoft is kind of giving up. And it wasn't because the lack of trying. It's just the wheels keep spinning. The story keeps changing. One minute they trying to outbest the PlayStation in graphics. The next minute they're going to cloud and they want everybody to play their games. And notice, Sony's doing a little bit of that, but they're not doing a whole let's put this on Xbox situation. Now, essentially, the games that has came out since the year I haven't done my thoughts on, admittedly, those games are essentially on the Xbox Series consoles because it's using DirectX. And, when you program in DirectX, or not program in DirectX, but use DirectX as your API, then you essentially programming for Xbox. But you notice that Sony hasn't come around to the point of saying, let's put our games on this console. And one of the things I wanted to see play out was that Phil Spencer stuff that happened last year. That was pathetic. And I actually made a video about that, but for whatever reason, my program crashed and I made a whole bunch of progress and I was almost done, and then I just said, screw it. And then, other things started coming up. So, but the whole Phil Spencer stuff was pathetic. And I'm talking about, from the FTC stuff to, making agreements with the government, to having all their games on all platforms. I mean, they just gave up. And the games that they got coming out, and this is just my opinion, but to me, those games don't move the needle. The Indiana Jones game is one of those games that's not going to move the needle. And to me, when I see games like that, it's a sign that Microsoft is kind of out of touch. And they don't understand what pop culture in gaming is really all about. See, pop culture in gaming is really Black Myth Wukong. That's what's really going on with gaming. Gaming is coming to another revolution from, we went from side scrollers to, open worlds and some other genres in between there, and now we in the Souls-like genres, and those are now popular. And as you see, if you watching the video, you can see me getting my butt kicked in Black Myth Wukong. I mean, Black Myth Wukong is no joke, and particularly this stage is no joke. And I haven't really seen anybody play through this stage and really get past it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's some memory card sharing. But, you know, getting back to the topic. I mean, Xbox needs Black Myth Wukong. And Indiana Jones it's like their biggest game from their studios. And I can't believe they can look at their gamers with a straight face and say, this is for you. You know, I mean, seriously, I mean, I just think that Microsoft is totally out of touch with pop culture, man. And they got this, you know, Brady Bunch type of view of what gamers want. And the real deal is they trying to appeal to everyone and at the same time look cool, but at the same time get as many gamers as they can to buy their games because they done bought those expensive studios, which was stupid. And I think Microsoft is having reservations about buying those studios because now they're like Jerry Jones, they're all in except when it's time to win. So I don't know, man. Like I said, this might be my last video about Microsoft unless they pull something off that is, you know, otherworldly game changing. I mean, this is just pathetic. I mean, you basically becoming a publisher who so happened to make consoles, and that's what you have to do because nobody wants this console. Like, honestly, I got me a PC. I had me a PC first before my wife bought me a Xbox Series X for Christmas. And, you know, it's one of those things, man. I was excited to get it, but, you know, it's one of those feelings where you get it's like, yeah, I appreciate that, and it's really nice and expensive and sparkly, but, you know, I'm probably not going to play it. And that's what ended up happening. I probably was going to get one on anyway. But the point is that it's just a shame. I know those developers are like, man, if I didn't get paid, I would straight up walk out. Because, I mean, it ain't just about getting paid. I mean, that's a big part of it. But, you know, it's all about the blood, sweat, and tears you put in to that development of a console. And they tried to do everything they could to make it easier to program for. And, you know, look, could it have been engineered better? You bet your bottom dollar. I mean, having segregated memory is stupid, especially when you trying to pull off a unified memory architecture and then you got separate speeds of memory in there that you can't even really use. And Sony has it too, but it's not nothing like Microsoft. Microsoft got 3 or 4 segments of memory. You know, I think Sony only has like 2. So all of this stuff that I've talked about over years is a culmination of all this stuff. And, you know, it's just so funny seeing, you know, the big sites like IGN and, you know, GameSpot. Yeah, I'm calling them out. And these other Microsoft sponsored type of sites or whatever are YouTubers. You know, it's like they're apologizing for Microsoft, but they're trying to say what I'm saying a lot nicer. And you will see, you know, the Greg Millers and stuff say, I don't know if Indiana Jones is something that gamers are looking for, but it looks really nice, and it really doesn't. Like, it really, like, I'm going to tell you something. And I know people are going to disagree, but I really think that Uncharted 1 and 2, like, those graphics are on par with those. And I think absolutely Uncharted 4 is blowing Indiana Jones out. Like, there's no competition. Now, I do get that there are 2 different genres of gaming, but, like, graphically, it's no comparison. And that game is about 5 years old. I think that game came out like 2015 on the PlayStation 4. So it's probably even older than that. It's probably like 9 years old because it's 2024. So yeah, it's, you know, I'm still stuck in 2020. But the point is that that game looks far behind in graphics. Now, they said that game is supposed to have ray tracing. That is kryptonite for Microsoft. Now, I ain't really what you call checking for ray tracing. I do turn it on my PC because I got a 3090 Ti. And so if I can have you guys watch the game, I try to have it as high quality as possible. I do want to get back to, having the videos not streamed, but it's just so many games out, which is another misnomer. There's plenty of games out from Sony and other third parties, but and actually I was looking at some of the Digital Foundry stuff, the 3 games that they was talking about from Gamescom, and those games look pretty promising. I mean, I was watching the demo that they showed like a couple of years ago with the cop busting through the door. It was a first-person shooter. They had that camera filter on there to make everything look like it was being watched on video. And one of the games that they showed on their IGN, Rich being rich, doing business with IGN now, huh? So yeah, he's fully into sponsorship now. But yeah, there's a lot of games that's coming out. Those games are looking good, and the Series X can run them, but are they going to take a chance and let that thing go 60 hertz? Hey, look, I can admit, I really thought that Senua's Saga Part 2, or whatever they calling it, I really thought that game wasn't coming out. At the time, I think it was 2023. It was 2022, I can't remember. But that showcase that they had, when they had showed a quick demo of it, it did not look good at all. And I was very worried about the game, but I am glad that it came out. Now, they could have made it like approachable to play. Like, the game is no fun to play, and it's a shame because like it seemed like it's more constrained than the first one. I mean, they didn't do anything to the gameplay. If anything, they restricted gameplay off of this nanite stuff, which I'm not impressed with either. But but it's calls like that, like this Black Myth Wukong. You can say what you want to say about it. It does have some type of dithering issues with it, but it looks pretty good on PlayStation 5. It's not so far away from PC. It's like a arcade versus the Genesis type of difference. I don't see that type of difference. I think that Black Myth Wukong looks pretty good, and so and like the Xbox needs that game. They need a game like that, and this nanite, this Unreal Engine 5 version, I mean, it's not the best looking, but it works for the consoles, and that's what they're programming for, and that's what they're aiming for. So they're aiming for those consoles, and I think that is just impressive. The fact that they're able to loosen up the nanite enough just so that they can make the game approachable on the PlayStation versus what Xbox did with Senua. They totally screwed it up. I wish they would have made it more of a video game than basically just an excuse to move the forward button. But like I said, it's calls like that that put Xbox in the situation that they're in. But I've told you this from the beginning. When you go to Microsoft as a game developer, Microsoft is just a place for game developers to die. It's a graveyard. It's really a graveyard for developers. And I'm hoping that Doom doesn't use this nanite crap. And if they do, I hope they loosen it up enough to the point where it can be playable on the PlayStation. It's probably coming out to PlayStation because it's just like what I was saying in my videos. Everybody's talking about power. I'm like, you need some games. And so I think people are starting to realize that, yeah, the games are important. Microsoft had an opportunity, when they first bought Blizzard, to have Doom exclusive to their console. I mean, they could have sold a whole bunch of systems. But now they're in red alert mode because this acquisition is needing to make money. They done bought it like 2 or 3 years ago, they spent all this money on it in court. So, you know what I'm saying? People don't understand. That's part of the cost of acquisition as well, is you got to go to court. And when you go to court, they probably spent another $1 billion on lawyers. I'm trying to tell you, man, you going up against the FTC and both countries, and Europe and the United States, you spending some money, dog. I'm trying to tell you, man, you are spending some money. So they're in red alert mode. They're trying to get some residuals back for this game. All these games that and IPs that they own now, they're trying to get some residuals back and some revenue back and some profit. So they're in red alert mode, and I don't blame them. I mean, they spent $75 billion, not counting the billions of dollars that they probably had to pay for these lawyers and court fees, and it's crazy. You know, and then they had to make a deal. I'm pretty sure that was monetary too. So, you know, we don't know about the total deal, but I guarantee you that those deals, they're losing money by selling this game on PlayStation. Now, they're going to probably have 25%. I don't know what the margins are. But the point is that Microsoft is losing a lot of money. Instead of keeping the 100% revenue, they got to divvy some of it up because they didn't take care of their gamers early. And, Shu gave me a like for this, but I said early in the generation, I said Sony's going to make their headways by, remastering games for the PlayStation 4. And I thought that was a good idea. And I think looking back in hindsight, did it push the gaming forward? Not really. But, I mean, the games were notably better. And I know I've played some of the versions of PC enhancements and PlayStation 5 enhancements on my channel. There's still some games I want to put up on the channel. But the point is that, they're all from Sony. I wouldn't even touch an Xbox controller if I didn't have PC. It's just a sad day for Microsoft. Like I said, I know I haven't really made a video in about a year. I know I've probably done some commentary, post game or whatever, but I haven't really made a standalone video in a while. And so I was looking at some of my old stuff, and I said, you know what? I feel inspired. So there it is. That's just my thoughts on the state of Xbox. Xbox is in red alert mode. And so now they're changing the narrative to, we're trying to kill Sony, to, now we need to partner with Sony. It's a shame, though. It's a shame. I really feel bad for people who bought an Xbox Series X thinking they was getting the supreme and better console. But you know what? This is a lesson to everybody. People, you can't play specs, all right? The 5090 is coming out pretty soon. RTX 5090. The specs are going to be outstanding. I'm pretty sure they're going to have drivers ready. You're going to be able to put those bad boys in your PC, and you're going to be able to play the games. They're going to look a lot better or have a lot more headroom or whatever, right? But you cannot play the specs alone. They got to make the drivers play the games. That's what we play. We play video games. We don't play specs. Specs are for the engineers who develop the game. Yeah, you look at the specs and you say, wow, man. But at the end of the day, I don't care how good or cool you think your console is. You try to market it. People are going to look through the BS and they're going to jump ship like they have Microsoft. I'm hoping that at some point that we get some competition going again, because this all, go along, get along stuff is really not good for gaming. I mean, it's not, because really competition does what they call increases quality and lowers prices. And, if those two things aren't happening, then, I think we have a problem with the market. And so having a problem with the market is a problem, and people probably can't appreciate those words, but I'm trying to tell you, Sony blowing out Microsoft is not the answer. And you can see what happened with the PS2. Some of y'all may be too young to remember, but I'm going to give you a quick history lesson. The PS2 blew out the first Xbox. It blew it out. Nobody bought it. It was so bad that Microsoft went back in 4 years later and released the 360. That's how bad it was. I mean, it was a straight boat race. And Sony rested on their laurels. They made a song called How You Killed Your Brand. that was the song, How You Killed Your Brand. And the PS3, I mean, that's what happens when you rest on your laurels, though. You know, and gaming was down. But they wasn't all that. Look at Gears of War now. I mean, it's a shell of itself. And the real issue is because of Phil Spencer. That's probably need to be my next video. What are we going to do with Phil Spencer? Because I'm here to tell you, this man has totally destroyed the Xbox brand. He's totally destroyed. And I've said that for a long time, folks. Phil Spencer has killed the Xbox, man. He totally killed it. And I ain't talking about in a good way. He killed it in the way you don't want to kill. He took a knife and stabbed Xbox straight in the back. Got Xbox on the ground twitching, gasping for air. I'm here to tell you, man. I mean, the state of Xbox it's in dire straits. And the lucky thing is that they, Microsoft is big enough for them to make a mistake like this, because honestly, had they been Sony would have been cutting out the lights right about now. Sony don't got bread like that. So, yeah, Microsoft I think is the richest company in the world. So, thank God for that, because had they been any other company, I mean Fortune 500, had they been any other company, they would be turning out the lights. With a guy like Phil Spencer being your CEO, people giving Phil Spencer credit for Game Pass. And I made a video about Game Pass. I might share that on Twitter. But Game Pass is terrible because you can't make $100 million, $200 million budget games and sell them for nothing. That is a swoon dive into the poorhouse. And that's on the publisher side. What about the gaming side? Because they got to make money some type of way. What about the sponsors that's going to be popping up in the game? I mean, come on, man. You can't sell games like that for free. And they're not doing it now, but I guarantee you if that idea works, that's going to be the death knell for gaming. So I don't think it's going to work. There's no such thing as free lunch. All right, man, I'm done preaching. If you like the content, please subscribe. I know this is probably like 30 or 40 minutes. I'm trying to edit out some of the stuff to get it down to reasonable time. But comment, like, subscribe, and may the truth set you free. Later.